Hi everybody, welcome to the live stream. I'm Tisa Blackburn, I'm your Acrylic Diva, and we're going to do a little expressive landscape painting today. So I'm going to go right to the overhead camera. Let's get started. Let's crop out a little bit. Looks like I've got the camera set up just a little bit too close. I want you to be able to see everything I'm doing. So let's come out just a little bit so you can see the palette too. Okay. So if you have questions, just put them in the chat box. We're going to start with a small square canvas here, and I've got a sort of a teal color on the background. This canvas has been used a number of times, so it's got a little bit of texture on it, but that's not going to interfere with what we're going to do. So what we're going to start off with first is we'll put out a palette here, and then I'll let you know what we're going to do. I'm going to start with some Hansa yellow. I'm using golden fluids, and those should be listed in your description as well. Little Hansa yellow. I'm going to put out quite a bit of titanium white. And we'll need a little quin magenta as well. Got a little quin magenta here. Quin magenta, golden fluids, and I am a little short on phthalo blue. My fluids are a little low there, so I am going to use phthalo blue heavy body. And of course, you can mix heavy body and fluids together, of course, right? So let's put some phthalo blue out. So what I want to work with today are some kind of expressive little landscapes with a lot of different texture and pattern, and just these sort of tree-like shapes on the background there. Pretty simple. That's one we have there. This is another one here. You can see you can have a lot of fun with pattern and shape with these sort of abstract landscapes, okay? I'll just start with those. First thing I'm going to do is cover the background, give it a kind of a sky. So let's start with a square brush. I like these Royal Langnickel brushes. These are really good. I believe I have listed that in your description. You can always go to my Amazon store and find the list of everything that I use, okay? I think the Princeton brushes might be in the listing, in the description, but you can also find everything I use in my Amazon store, and that's listed in the description for you. Okay, let's start with a little quin magenta and some titanium white. Put that up there in the sky. We might even leave a little bit of that teal color showing through here and there, a little bit. Let's have a little more titanium white. You know, I think I'll go ahead and cover up that sky. I'm going to come pretty far down, probably about 2/3 of the way down. Get plenty of that titanium white, especially if you have color in the background. You'll want to make sure you put plenty of titanium white down. And especially with these colors like the quinacridone magenta, that tends to be a little more transparent. Make sure you use plenty of titanium white, because those transparent colors your background will show right through that. And you know, why paint a background in the first place? Well, sometimes you want to leave some of that showing, and it's better to have it there. You can always cover it up, but if you don't have it, what are you going to do, right? So I'm going to just kind of smooth that out a little bit. Got a lot of texture on this canvas from an old painting I'm painting over. So maybe I'll do a little something with the back of my paintbrush. Since this painting is all about texture and pattern, I'm just taking my paintbrush and going right into the wet paint just to give that sky some pattern. I'm going to have pattern all over this painting. So just working right into that. And since it was an old canvas and it had texture on it, it doesn't have a smooth surface anyway. So putting a little bit of texture into it is going to help as well. So I'm going to tip that up. You might be having a hard time seeing that because those lines are pretty fine. But we maybe will come back with our paint pens and do something else with that as well. We'll see. Okay, so that's our first layer. And I'm going to wipe this paint off my brush. I'm not going to go into the water. I'm just going to wipe this excess paint off my brush. And try not to put too much water in the paint. Now I'm going to build some shapes here. Let's build one here. Now these, I want these to be kind of flat, the color to be kind of flat, because I am going to come back with paint pens and put pattern and texture into these. So I don't want too much pattern and texture in this to begin with, because I'm going to put that in with the paint pens. So kind of a nice flat shape there. Yeah, there we go. And I've got blue on my brush. I don't really want to go into the water, so I'm going to grab a little Hansa and some titanium white. Make myself a green here. Come right into here. Let's make that a little lighter. Okay, just getting our shapes started right now. That's all we're doing. I want that a little bit lighter and a little bit more yellow. There, that's better. Okay. Just wipe that paint off my brush. Not going into the water. Go into the titanium white. A little bit of that phthalo blue. Tiny bit of quin magenta. We're going to go a little purple here. Another shape here. Okay. Now let's see. Let's wipe most of this off. Still no water. Stay out of that water. The water is not your best friend. I know a lot of people think that water is perfect for acrylic paint, but it's not the best thing to do. If you start bringing a lot of water to the paint, you can really make a mess. So just wipe it off, and we're going to kind of keep going. I'm going to pick up some Quin Magenta, a little more titanium white. Let's go a little more Quin Magenta. I'm going to come right here, make another shape. Now I'm going to just leave my brush kind of dirty. I'm going to go into that green. Let's get a little bit of that Hansa. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a brown, a bit more muted by picking up that green. There we go. Let's have that right here. Wipe my brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the phthalo blue, Quin Magenta, make a dark purple. Looks almost black. Put a little titanium white into that. Ooh, that's nice. Let's make it a little bit more Quin Magenta. There we go. And we'll have that right here. And I'm just pressing down with my paintbrush. I don't want to blend too much into that wet paint that's there. There we go. So we've got our shapes in the foreground. We're going to now come back and do some pattern on top of them. Some really fun patterns. So we're going to have to let these dry. So while these are drying, I am going to do work on one that I've got a little prepped. I'll show you some patterns on one that's already been prepped. We'll put this one to dry. Okay, here's this one that I had already pre-painted, and so you can see it's got some shapes. We've gone up higher on the horizon line there, but with this one we'll go to our paint pens. And these are the Posca paint pens, and I believe those are in your description. If they're not, you can find them at my Amazon store. But we're going to go in and do some fun stuff with our paint pens. Always, when you're using these paint pens, always make sure you shake it and then prime it. Just make sure it's working. Okay. So let's start, actually let's get another color because I want to start up here. Start at the top and work down. That way you don't get your hand into the wet paint. So if you're up here and you work your way down, then you won't end up with your hand in the paint. Okay. So we'll just start with these guys. Just drawing patterns. Repeating patterns. Just draw repeating patterns there, any kind you like. And if you have questions, you can always put those in the chat box. These are just really fun little abstract landscapes. No pressure. Excuse me. Okay. Use a contrasting color with your paint pens. So you want your pattern to show up, so make sure you use a contrasting color. Shake it, make sure it's working. And just repeat those patterns. You can pick up these colors that work with your home decor or with your office, for your kids' room. These make really fun decorations for kids' rooms, for your house. They make great gifts for the holidays. Okay, we're just moving right along. Our other painting is drying. So while it dries, we'll just work on these patterns. And again, these are the golden fluids that I'm using and the Posca paint pens. So, and those are both in my Amazon store, which is in your description. And don't forget, we have Saturday classes too. If you go over to my website, to acrylicdiva.com, you'll see the Saturday classes. We have a lot of fun. Those are Zoom classes, beginner friendly. Okay, let's see, what color do we need for this one? Let's try this orange. This is a pretty color. Wonder if it has enough contrast. Yep. Let's give some curlicues here. It doesn't have as much contrast as the others, but I think that's okay. This one here, let's see if we have enough contrast with this pale pink. Oh yeah, that works really well. And you don't have to stay inside the shape. You can go outside the shape if you want to. All right, this one's coming along nicely. I think we're going to go back to black. We'll pick the black up again for this one, maybe this one. Maybe have some leaf shapes in this one. And so you can see why it's important to start at the top and work your way down. If I hadn't started at the top, if I had this down here and then I started painting up here with my paint pens, I might smear this. It might still be wet. So start at the top and work your way down always. Okay, let's give this one more right here. And maybe another one right here. Okay, doing pretty good. Let's pick up a lighter color here, maybe a yellow. Let's give this one some circles. Now with these lighter colors on dark backgrounds, a lot of times you'll have to come back and do these twice because the lighter colors sometimes will be transparent on the dark background. So you might see through it a little bit. You might want to come back. Have a couple that come off the canvas here. Okay. A little, just tiny dots here, just little bitty dots. These paint pens are great for making dots. Okay, let's see here. How about some tiny little stars? Okay, finally our last one. Will the red work on this? How about tiny hearts? Okay, well that's it for that one. That would look great in a kid's room, right? Now be sure when you do this, and again, you may want to come back and do another layer on top of these when these are dry, because the lighter colors sometimes are not opaque enough to keep that dark background from showing through. And I made these circles all irregular sizes, so you want to make sure that they're opaque enough. And also make sure that the paint pen is dry before you come back on top of it, because if it's not, you will pick it up from underneath. And you'll have to start it all over again. Okay, that works a little better because they needed that little extra layer. So that's this one. Let's see if our first one is dry. Looks like our first one is dry, so we can start some patterns on that. Repeat the same process here. And I think in this one too, I think I'm going to put pattern in the sky as well. So let's see, what color should we put in the sky? I don't want anything with too much contrast, but let's see. This bright pink might do just the ticket. Yeah, that's good. It's not too bright, but it's enough that gives you a little bit of something there. It's really important when you're doing this not to put your Posca pens into wet acrylic, because it will ruin your Posca pens for sure. The paint will get on them and you won't be able to use them, unfortunately. So we'll just give the sky a little bit of color, pattern. Just go crazy with the pattern. Really nuts with pattern here. Okay, now let's do something with our shapes. And again, we're going to just cover everything with pattern. So I've got some great orange here. And just make those leaf shapes. With this orange. And I'll probably have to come back and touch up these little orange leaves because they are not opaque enough to hide that background color. So just keep that in mind when you're using these colors, that sometimes you're going to have to do it 2 layers. All right, let's go on to our green. I am going to pull the black out again. I really like the way that looked on the last one. I think we're just going to do little dots on this. And I'm just doing them random. You could do them in a pattern, a more uniform pattern, but I kind of like them random. Okay, there's that shape. This shape right here will look really good with some purple. Let's give it some little hearts. Maybe one right there. And over here, let's pick up some of that hot pink. And how about for pattern, let's do some little stars. And sometimes if you have a little bit of texture on your canvas, it might be a little bit more difficult to get the pattern down there with your paint pen. But we made it work. Okay. I have some little dashes on this one with white. Shows up nicely on that dark blue. Okay, our final one. What color do we need for our final one? How about that great teal color? Just some sort of organic shapes, some natural forms. You can use any shape you want for your pattern. A repeating shape. It's nice if the shape repeats itself. Okay, looks like we've done our homework there, and you know, I'm not crazy about this sky, so let's paint the sky out. That's the great thing about acrylics, is you can really make all the changes you want. So I'm going to come back with titanium white, just plain titanium white, and I'm going to paint right into this. And I think I'll just kind of cut into the tree shapes, or the whatever we're calling those, to make them a little more interesting. Let's see if we like titanium white. We might want something else, but let's start there. Let's cut into that shape a little bit, make those edges a little more interesting. Oh, that's a much better shape. So it's got a little more interesting shape there. I like this round shape though. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave the round shape. Wasn't crazy about the pink curlicues there in the sky, so let's just change them. That's what's so great about acrylic paint. Just change it. Okay, let's put a little curlicue on that guy. Yeah, I kind of like that. I sort of like the kind of crazy background that we've got going there. It's white, but you can still see some of that pink beneath it. That's kind of fun. I'll just smooth out some of my brush strokes here. Oh, I like that much better. Much better. And that's what's so great about acrylic paint. You can just change it if you don't like it. Just paint over it. And then when that paint starts to dry, if you can start to feel the paint get a little tacky, stop playing with it. Stop painting, because then you're going to start to pull things up and things are not going to be happy when you do that. So I'll stop playing with it, except for this corner right here. And these corners right here are bugging me, so I don't like the way these look. So I'm going to fix that. There, that's a little better. Okay, well that was fun. Just a little, I say I'm going to stop painting and then I keep painting. Take my own advice, right? Okay, I like that much better. That's a lot of fun. So that is just a couple of little expressive we're going to call them landscape paintings because they're kind of organic forms, you know. They're sort of tree-like shapes, if you want to call them that. I'm trying to get both of those over there so you can see both of them that we did. Kind of fun stuff. These would look great in a kid's room or your den, or they make great Christmas gifts. Super fun. And that's just how hard it is. You don't have to make it hard at all. So grab your paints and paint with me here on YouTube. You can also paint with me over on my website at acrylicdiva.com. We have classes on Saturdays, live classes, and there's tons of classes over there that you can dive into. There's some free classes. So have fun, and as I always say over and over again, keep painting. I'll see you next time. Bye.